Hi everyone, welcome to Kiddie Delight. Today we have an interesting dessert. It's very simple to make. It's called a chocolate and coconut Swiss roll. This is something I made with my mother when I was a little girl, and today I'm going to make this with my little girl. So stay tuned and watch on. For our chocolate and coconut Swiss rolls, we need some very basic ingredients. I have about 250 grams of tea biscuits. I'm using Murray biscuits in this case. 4 tablespoons of cocoa powder. Now this is unsweetened cocoa powder. I'm not using drinking chocolate. About 2 teaspoons of regular coffee. You could even use decaffeinated. 100 grams of salted butter. For the coconut mix, I have 50 grams of butter, 100 grams of castor sugar, and I have about 150 grams of freshly grated coconut. I would recommend that you use freshly grated coconut because it just gives a different taste altogether. A little bit of butter that I'm going to knead while I'm kneading the dough, and I have some warm water here. Now we're going to crush the biscuits. Just take a batch. I'm trying to keep this as non-messy as possible. It's a bit of a challenge when you're cooking with children. Now this is real fun, and once we've crushed this nice and fine, we're going to add the other ingredients to it. I try to do this in the most non-messy way as possible. So I just take the whole thing and give it a nice shake. So I have 250 grams of finely crushed biscuits in this bowl. They've been through the sieve. I have now my cocoa powder, coffee and butter, which I'm going to add to the mix. So we're going to add the cocoa powder and just mix it lightly. Now to this, I'm going to add the butter and the coffee powder, and I'm going to mix it really well. I want this to be a dough which does not stick to the side of the bowl. And now the 2 teaspoons of regular coffee. So in it goes. It's really easy and it's just so much fun to make, and it's fun to eat as well. Now I'm going to add a little bit of water to the dough, and I'm going to start using my hands. For those of you who make rotis or bread every day at home, this should come pretty easy. You want this to have the same consistency. I want the dough to be tight. So the dough is nice and firm. As you can see, it's really left the sides of the bowl. And I'm going to keep it aside and start working on the coconut mix. So we have the freshly grated coconut. So to the freshly grated coconut, we're going to add the castor sugar and mix it. So to the coconut mix, we've put the castor sugar. Now we're going to add the rest of the butter. And we're going to mix this nicely. The kids are going to start eating it right away. So I have the coconut mix here. I've put in the freshly grated coconut, the sugar and the butter, and I've mixed it really well. I'm going to keep this aside, and I'm going to take some parchment paper, butter it, put the biscuit mix on it, and layer it with the coconut mix. So we take the parchment paper, we're going to put a thin film of butter, and we take the biscuit mix, so now we're rolling the biscuit mix on the parchment paper. Don't make it too thin because then you're going to have a difficult time when you put the coconut mix and you start rolling it. This is all ready now, and I'm going to add the coconut mix to this. Just be a little careful when you're layering the coconut mix, and you want to cover the entire surface. So I've layered the coconut mix onto the biscuit mix. It's got this nice contrast. There's a dark shade and there's practically creamy white on top of it. And now I'm ready to roll this. At this point, you may want to use the extra butter that we've kept. And I'm going to put this in the freezer after I'm done rolling this for about 2 or 3 hours. And just take it out of the freezer maybe 15 minutes before you're going to serve it. So you've rolled this nice and tight. Wrap it back in the parchment paper and put this in the freezer for 2 to 3 hours. It's a very simple dessert. And you may want to just take it out of the freezer about 15 minutes before you're ready to serve it. My chocolate and coconut Swiss roll has been in the freezer for about 2 to 3 hours. I'm ready to open it up. It looks interesting, and when we cut it up, it's going to look even better. So we're ready to cut this now. Slices nicely. This is what it looks like. You can make thin slices. So this is a very simple, nice recipe that takes me back to my childhood, those wonderful days. And I've enjoyed making it with my child. For recipes like these, please subscribe to India Food Network. Send us your comments and queries. We'd like to hear from you, and thank you.